Welcome to the Sports Betting Preview Show, a pregame.com podcast. I'm your host, Marco D'Angelo, joined with Vegas Runner. We're going to talk about a topic that's hot right now, NBA playoff time. A lot of criticism about the referees, that some of these games, I got to throw it out there, the NBA conspiracy theory that the games are fixed. And anytime you say the word NBA
and fixed,
there's only one word, well, two words that come to mind.
One person.
VR, what are those two words?
WD, baby. Tim Donaghy, the accused and convicted NBA referee who tampered with outcomes of NBA games for betting purposes.
That's just not right.
He did it. He admitted it. And he's going as far as saying it's still happening today. Not the fixing part. Okay, maybe it is the fixing part, but not the betting scandal part. In other words, what he's saying is that the NBA higher up is still pushing referees into the direction that's in the best interest of the NBA. In other words, it's in the best interest of the NBA for the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals not to end in 4-0 sweeps. Not enough commercials, not enough interest. I mean, let's just tell it like it is. If both of them teams, LA swept and Boston swept, even though LA-Boston finals is intriguing and interesting.
That's the most popular matchup of the four. If it comes.
Still would have went down as these were the worst playoffs in history. Now, I have seen enough of these NBA playoffs to say what Tim Donaghy's saying has some substance. And I don't think it's an exaggeration. I don't think it's far-fetched. And the numbers support it. I mean, how can anyone who watched games 1 and 2 of LA Phoenix and then watched games 3 and 4 tell me that the referees didn't help Phoenix get to the free throw line? How can anyone who watched yesterday's Game 5 in Orlando tell me that the referees didn't help Orlando by putting 2 fouls on 3 stars in the first quarter for the Boston Celtics? Immediately. I mean, that dictated the game immediately within the first quarter. Now, I'm not saying these guys are betting on the game. What I am saying, and I agree with Tim Donaghy, is that the NBA, like he says, he stated in his book, he sticks by it, has a commissioner for every series. And what happens is the commissioner sits with the crew before the game, the day of the game, and shows them tape of the last game. And what he points out is what they missed. And he gives them advice as far as this guy, you weren't calling these elbows. You weren't calling these travels. Every first step's a travel. So by breaking down the film with the referees, this commissioner's more or less putting in their minds what he thinks is going on or what should be happening. Because let's tell it like it is. I could tell you that's a foul. I could tell you it's not a foul. We all could call it different. So, I mean, if I'm your boss and I keep telling you, you got to call this, you got to call that, you're going to go out there and you're going to call it that way. And the way I tell you to call it is going to help one team and hurt the other. That's the bottom line. Now, what I disagree with is that during the regular season, it's as huge. And that's why I agree with the guys. I'm from back there. He went to Cardinal O'Hara. If I remember right, that's on Sproul Road. Like, I know the group he bet into. It's the same group in Philly. Everybody knows. It's no secret, who was betting and booking his action. Word is they didn't want his other plays. They wanted his fixed plays. And he claims he was a 70% handicapper anyway. That part...
Didn't he have gambling debts?
Exactly. See, here's what I'm trying to say. He wasn't able to pick an NBA winner by looking at the officiating crew during the regular season because there's no incentive. The officiating crew, that many games, 72 games in a year, there's so many meaningless games.
Absolutely.
But that's why I think he wasn't able to pick successfully and beat the books on those games, trying to do it with the referees. But in the playoffs, it's a different story because everything's
more scrutiny.
Everything's magnified, exactly. And like he said, somebody's telling them what they're not doing right. So if you go out there the next day, you want to do what they told you to do right. And if you got to call up for one team, that's what you're going to do.
Well, an interesting part to this is this would actually back the zigzag theory because, let's face it, if they're pointing something out, that means either you were calling a game too tight or you were calling it too loose.
Exactly.
So if they're telling you to adjust to that, that's going to play right into the zigzag.
And that's why for so many years, it worked so well. And now with the internet, that kind of information's out there. Now it's just not a group of wise guys that's caught on to it, saw it, and they're taking advantage of it. Now it's so widespread that I think even the NBA or even the odds makers, whoever, is factoring that in. So the edge isn't there as much as it used to be. Back in the day when it was more secretive, no one knew that this was what's going on, you were able to take advantage. The zigzag was working like free money, baby. Yeah. So it supports everything this man's saying. I believe him, to be honest with you. I haven't seen anything to say he's talking, bullshit.
I think that there's merit to a lot of what he's saying, but I think he's putting a little bit of icing on it.
Sure, of course.
And let's not forget, okay, here's a guy that's convicted.
Of course.
A felony, fixing games and betting on the games. He was convicted, served time. He's now out of jail. Not going to be a great commodity.
Yeah, not
for somebody
the guy I want as my character witness if I'm at his trial.
Okay, here's a guy that's now, he's never going to work in sports again. That's for sure. What's he doing right now?
Pushing his book.
He's pushing his book. He's on a book tour. So, he's going to give the nuggets that are going to, get people's interest, get people looking, and they're going to run and buy the book. There's no question.
What I got to say, and I got to give the guy credit, and I'm telling you, during the regular season, I wouldn't follow his picks based on refereeing. Maybe the tendencies and over-unders and things like that, he might have, he does, obviously, has a lot better insight than I would have, because he knows these guys. But with that said, in the NBA playoffs, he's proven this by giving selections. He's read them off over the radio dozens of times. And he's been right, I believe, 13 of 14 of 15 times when he said you don't even have to watch it. That's what's going to happen. They're going to give Phoenix the game. This is what's going to happen. They're going to give Orlando the game. And when I watched it, it went down the way Timmy D said it was.
These things look that way, but let me say something here. If there is an NBA conspiracy theory, and I hear this all the time, and even in our own forums, guys talk, NBA is fixed. I
don't believe it. Anytime a game's been fixed, Marco, it comes out eventually because human beings don't know how to keep their mouths shut.
Let me put it this way, in a nutshell. If the NBA is fixed, there's no way that the last round, 3 or 4 series would have been sweeps.
Exactly.
And there's no way that LeBron James still would not be playing in the playoffs at this point.
Or that they would have waited for Orlando to go down 3-0 before they turn it around and have them win the series. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying, and I wrote a Morning Move newsletter on this exact topic, is there is some merit to what the man's saying. That when a game is officiated so lopsided that the next game, if it's in the other team's arena, you got to factor that into your handicapping and say, you know what? I'll put it this way. Tonight, Game 5 in L.A., I don't think Phoenix goes to the line 42 times.
No.
Is what I'm trying to say.
No. Absolutely.
I think that as a handicapper can help you.
Good stuff. Good luck, Tim.
Call me, baby.
Good luck with the book. I'm sure it's going to sell well.
I'll move the money. Call me.
He's Vegas Runner. I'm Marco D'Angelo. Hey, this has been another sports betting preview podcast from pregame.com. You can download and listen to all of our podcasts. Go to iTunes, just search pregame.com. We'll talk to you next week.